As it passed us by and night inevitably fell, I retreated to my room to indulge in some peace and quiet by playing Dark Souls. Being subjected to my mother's probing and my girlfriend's unbridled enthusiasm, I felt more fatigued than I thought I would as I rested my head on my pillow. Today had been an eventful day. A large portion of our classmates disappeared. Sophie confessed that she liked me. I unintentionally asked Chris out on a date, but surprisingly, now that I have time to reflect on everything that had happened, I no longer felt overwhelmed or uneasy. Instead, before I knew it, a wild smile had spread across my face. I had a girlfriend. And it wasn't just anyone either. My best friend Chris was now my girlfriend. My concern about her not returning my feelings were completely wrong. She felt for me far more strongly than I could have imagined, and in hindsight, it was an invigorating feeling to see her so excited about going out with me. Even if I felt unsure at first, I was now certain that I had made the right choice. It's unfortunate that Sophie was hurt in the process, but even knowing that, I just couldn't stop smiling. Why did it take me so long to realize how much Chris meant to me, and how happy a simple title like boyfriend could make me? Some people would call me stupid for getting so happy about something like this, but honestly, my only regret is being so slow about the uptake. Now that we've reached this stage, I won't make that mistake again. I'll be sure to knock knock. Interrupted mid-thought, I glanced toward the door, somewhat surprised by the unexpected sound. Hey? Kai, it's me. May I come in? Of course, Chris, sure. I responded nervously as I looked at the clock. It was already nearing midnight. I should have been asleep hours ago, and I certainly wasn't expecting a visitor this late. What's more, going by the uncharacteristic reservation of Chris's voice, I sat up straight as the door slowly creaked open. Good evening, Kai. Or perhaps I should say good morning, given how late it is. It isn't midnight just yet, but you're not far off. What's up? Couldn't sleep? Chris shook her head. I tried, but I'm just too excited. Isn't that silly? My heart's been pounding all afternoon and yet still hasn't calmed down. That sounds more like a medical condition to me. You should get that checked out. I'm being serious here. But that's okay. I don't mind if you play it off as a joke. After all, the fact that you're still awake means that you couldn't sleep either, right? You got me there. Heh. This really makes no sense. I wanted it to be Saturday so badly, and going to sleep would make that happen more quickly. Yet that seems to be the one thing I can't do. Anyways, with that being the case, I was thinking, if I was having trouble getting to sleep, maybe you were too, then maybe we should try sleeping together. No. Yeah, okay, sure. Chris, are you saying, I don't mean anything else by that, okay? When I say sleep, I really do mean exactly that. So if you're okay with it, I thought maybe we could give it a try, said Chris in amazement as her proposal dyed both our faces red. She may have praised me for asking her out in the middle class, but compared to what she just proposed now, that was nothing. I couldn't even begin to imagine how much courage it took to ask me something like that. If I were in her position, I definitely would have wimped out. It's okay if you don't want to. Really, I understand. I won't be offended or anything. So, if you'd rather not, I'll just say the word and alright. Fuck, that was quick. There's not a censored version of this. I have to check like every CG. No, I didn't think so. Okay. Fucking Kai is pale, man. Pale as shit. I turned off the lights and sat back down in my bed, pulling aside the covers as I warmed my way into bed. I held the blanket up with my hand, signaling for Chris to snuggle in with me. I don't need to say it, right? My back towards Chris and my face bright red, I nervously squeezed those words. Kai. Several decibels lower than a moment ago, Chris softly spoke my name as she walked over to my bed. A second before she reached my bed, however, she suddenly stopped, and the sound of fabric rustled filled my ears. Once that sound stopped, I felt the mattress shift below me. The blanket slipped out of my hands. as Chris took her place by my side. She draped the blanket over herself and pressed her body firmly against mine, finding space for two on the mattress made for one. Kai, your back is so warm. Chris rubbed her face against my neck as she loosely wrapped her arms around my torso. Her hot breath made the hairs on my back stand on end, and I could feel my heart beating even faster as I realized how close Chris's face was to mine. Chris, thought you said you were just gonna sleep. We are. Chris tightened her arms around me. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna enjoy myself first. Chris continued to squirm around behind my back as she made herself comfortable. Although I couldn't see what she was doing, I could feel her legs weaving between my own and her cheeks harshly rubbing against my neck as she was nuzzling. You know, Kai, when I hugged your back this morning, I honestly regretted not being able to move around freely like this. I want so badly to indulge in the warmth of your body, hug you tightly, feel your skin against mine. If your mother hadn't shown up when she did, I don't know what I would have done. But if it's now, when everyone's else fast asleep, then maybe, despite her insistence that we were just gonna sleep, Chris appeared to have no intention of doing so. She released her arms from around me and pulled my shirt up to my armpits, then pulled it over my head and tossed it aside. Hey, can you feel it? Chris wrapped her arms around me once more, and with my shirt now removed, I finally realized something important. Chris was naked. Well, Kai, can you feel it or not? The beating of my heart, that is. Although I couldn't see her face, I imagined that Chris was smirking behind my back as she teased me. With her naked body pressed against my bare back, the beating of Chris's heart was naturally not the first thing that came to mind. Instead, my own heart pounding loudly as I felt her stiff nipples prodding my back. Chris's soft breasts made themselves known as they conformed to the contours of my back, inciting lust deep within me as their textures were burned into my brain. Your heart's just starting beating faster. Or are you thinking of something naughty? I can't not say the word naughty without like a slight British accent. Faux British, faux accent. Chris giggled and made a conscious effort to trace circles on my back with her nipples. Whether Chris was aroused sexually, curious about what I would feel, or simply having fun teasing me, she was quickly headed down a dangerous path. I'm just kidding. It's only natural that you think of something like that. And it's not like I could hold it against you. That would be far too hypocritical of me. Chris stopped shuffling around and relaxed her arms. She put her chest back slightly and rested her head against the pillow, leaving her lips a mere inches away from my neck. Sorry, I know it's not fair of me to do something like this to you and say that nothing's gonna happen. Be that as it may, we really are just gonna sleep tonight. Please just think of this as me expelling a small part of what I've been keeping bottled up inside me for so long. It's your fault that so much of this is built up after all. Yawning loudly, the remaining energy was expelled from Chris's body. She took a few deep breaths and closed her eyes, slowly down her heart rate and last putting her body to rest. Finally, Chris pressed her lips against the side of my neck, leaking out one final moan of satisfaction. Sweet dreams, Kai. Softly mumbled those words, Chris stopped moving. She died. Her breath gradually slowed down and became softer, so faint that I could barely hear it. Within 1 minute, Chris was fast asleep, still cradling me in her arms. I hope the mother is like peeking in, taking pictures. Yeah, finally. And then she shows all of her parent friends. It's like, so has your teenage children did it yet? Here's pictures of mine. Oh, that's so adorable. Here's pictures of mine. And they're just sharing porn of their kids. That's weird. Despite the fact that we both fell asleep around midnight, Chris and I woke up earlier than usual. By the time I opened my eyes, Chris was already fully clothed, and the warmth of my back had dissipated. Although the realization disappointed me more than anything, I felt a sense of disbelief. The events of yesterday, though most of which I simply went with the flow, truly hadn't transpired. I turned down Sylvie, invited Chris to go out Saturday. She took it as more than a simple invitation between friends, and the next thing I knew, she's sleeping in my bed completely naked. Did yesterday really happen? I went through it all without so much of a fuss at the time, but looking back, yesterday was actually pretty amazing. I mean, if I told my past self that I turned down Sophie to go on a date with another girl, I'd stop myself silly. No, forget her. Sleeping in the same bed as Chris, going on a date, having her strip in my room twice in one day, that's where things get crazy. Amazed by the sudden change in my own life, I watched Chris mindlessly as I zoned out, thinking about all of the peculiarities, there we go, of the past 24 hours. Once I returned to reality, however, I realized that I was witnessing one more event worth note. While I was asleep, Chris had started to rummage through my belongings. What are you doing? Not looking for porn? What are you doing? Ka, what are you doing here? Is that a serious question? Go on, you've been up longer than I have. Wake up and explain. It's really nothing suspicious, okay? I definitely wasn't taking advantage of you being asleep to do anything sketchy. That? Are you looking for something? If you're trying to rob me, you should know that my game consoles are the only valuable thing I have. God damn. You really think I'd rob you? Forget it. If I leave it to your imagination, you're only gonna reach worse and worse conclusions. Truth is, I was looking for your sports trophies. My trophies? Good luck finding those. I haven't won any of those in years. Oh, believe me, I know. Now that I'm a high school student, I need to spend more time studying and not playing sports. Why would I kick a soccer ball around when I could be going on dates with hot girls? Forget baseball, you're looking at the king of geometry. What the fuck? Please stop. But there's so many more where those came from. You're such a dweeb, Kai. Yeah, well, you didn't exactly live up to your child aspirations either, you know. In fact, I clearly remember several declarations that you made upon entering high school. Uh-oh. Remember this face, Kai. By the time I finish high school, it's gonna be plastered all over the front page of every sports magazine in the world. No, really, it's genetic. My mom told me that she was flat as a board, too, all the way until her senior year in high school, and then bam, 3 cup sizes in 6 months. So what if I was confessed to by a girl? I'd rather die than wear a skirt. I get your point. Let's not play this game anymore, okay? Oh, but there were so many more where those came from. I was mistaken. None of those things happened. I must have remembered wrong. Though come to think of it, I do remember a certain young boy trying to pick up lines on his teacher. No, you don't. Are you sure about that? I could have sworn that Trophies, right? You were looking for trophies. Indeed I was. God damn it. God damn it. I breathed a sigh of relief as Chris consented to abandoning our regretful line of conversation. Well, there were many fun moments that we shared in the past. Being childhood friends meant that Chris and I also knew many embarrassing and troublesome periods in each other's life. Needless to say, I had more than my fair share of cringeworthy experiences best left forgotten. So any idea where your old trophies are? I can see that you still have some sports gear lying around, but I couldn't find what I was. Wait, but I couldn't find what I was either? Not really. I might know, but I stopped caring about that junk ages ago. Why do you want to see my old trophies? Just a whim. I was thinking about how you suddenly stopped playing. I was curious to see if you still kept your old trophies around. Even if they're still in the house, they aren't in my bedroom. I threw out most of that stuff ages ago. My mom might have kept things like trophies, but for the most part. Huh? Threw out your sports gear? Why'd you do that? I would have happily accepted them. One of my old shin guards and soccer boots? Yeah, but they wouldn't even fit you. So, I'd have grown into them by now. Oh, you're right, I guess you would have. But would you really keep all that stuff around for years, waiting to grow into them? Well, I can't say that I wouldn't have kept all of it. And what about my mouth guard, or my cup? Would you have kept those? Don't be gross. Of course I wouldn't have. I'm just saying that those were bound to be something I could have used. Chucking most of it out was a huge waste. Yeah, you're right about that. Sports gear goes for a decent amount online as long as it's in good condition. It's really not where I was going with this. Anyways, if there aren't in here, then I guess there's no point continuing my search. I'm a little disappointed that you discarded your old trophies, but I suppose that's to be expected. You really think I'd still have them lying around? I know it was a short I know it was a short shot. Fuck! I knew it was a long shot, but I figured there was at least a chance. After all, you obviously peaked in middle school. Damn. Why wouldn't you want to relive your glory days? Hey, I didn't peak just yet. I'm still only 18. Hey, some people peak super early, so... You say that, but where's the proof? I can't remember the last time I saw you with a baseball mitt on or a cricket bat in your hand. Doesn't mean I couldn't play them again. I just haven't been active for a while, that's all. Is that right? Chris smirked happily as I dug myself into a deeper and deeper hole. I played right into a trap. I like heist, prove it. During lunch today, we'll play half-court basketball, just me and you, one-on-one for 20 points. The loser has to pay for our date tomorrow. Hey, that's not fair. I was already gonna pay. Now I have to pay double. I've been out of sports for years now, but you never stop playing. There's no way I'll win. Oh, what's the matter? You're afraid of getting your butt kicked by a girl? No, I'm afraid to get my butt kicked by a girl in front of dozens of spectators. Come on, who cares what they think? If anyone makes fun of you, I'll just have to kick their ass too. Somehow I get the feeling I should be the one stepping up to defend you. Not the other way around. And you know what? I think I might be up for that after all. Really? Sure, why not? It's been a while since we played any kind of sports together, and I figured I'd get roped into paying for our date anyways, so you're on. Having started our Friday morning with such lively banter, I knew that the rest of the day was going to be fun. Chris was filled with her usual enthusiasm and lacked reservation. She was her normal self, despite the fact that our relationship had supposedly changed. Even after events like us sharing a bed last night, we could still play together and hang out as friends without it being awkward. Our friendship remained completely intact, and honestly, the knowledge filled me with far more joy than the prospect of becoming a couple. I was worried that becoming a couple would make things awkward between Chris and I, but we can still joke around like usual. And it seemed my fears were unnecessary. Even if I don't know what I really want out of my relationship with Chris, what is clear to me is that I don't want to lose what we already have. As long as our friendship isn't impacted and we're still able to act natural around one another without hesitation, it really might be the best path forward. After a somewhat awkward breakfast, during which the comments and giggles from my mother dyed my face crimson, Chris and I walked to school together side by side. Although we didn't go as far as holding hands, we were undoubtedly closer than usual in terms of proximity. More than a few times we brushed up against each other, only to laugh it off the moment later. Once we reached school, Chris and I further toned things down. Mindful of the gaze of others, we entered our classroom and made our way to a desk, at which point Chris breathed a heavy sigh. Man, why can't Saturday come already? I'm a patient person, but even I have my limits. Chris, school hasn't even started yet. Besides, isn't there something else you should be looking forward to first? Something else? Don't play dumb. If you want out, just say so. But if you do forfeit, you'll be paying for the date tomorrow. What are you talking about? I have no faith in your athletic abilities whatsoever, Kai. Alright, I almost forgot about that. Come on, hurry up and be lunch already. Haha, you really aren't as patient as you claim. Hell, I'm not. I'm only being impatient now because it took so freaking long for us to get to this point. It's true, she's waited like 10 years, so she's like the most patient person in this world. If you'd asked me out sooner, we wouldn't be in the situation. Oi, you can't really blame me for that. You could have asked me out yourself, you know. You don't need to wait for me to ask. I'm not so sure about that yet. Chris looked past me as she spoke. I followed Chris's gaze while pondering her words, and the moment I spotted the target of her glare, I understood what she meant. Good morning, Kai. Morning, Sophie. Are you ready for the weekend? It's too soon to celebrate just yet, but Friday always feels like feels a little special, don't it? You can say that again. I live for the weekend. Haha, you don't say. Speaking of the weekend, if you have free time, I was thinking that we... Don't even try it, hussy. You know perfectly well that Kai has plans with me this weekend. Refusing to be ignored by Sophie yet again, Chris spoke up. Oh, Christine, you're here. I didn't notice you there. Yeah, right. Anyway, stop trying to butt in. Kai and I have plans and they don't involve you. How mean. I never said anything about joining you two. You may have forgotten, Chris, but there are actually 2 days in the weekend. So even if you have plans with Kyle on Saturday, surely you're not gonna force yourself on him 2 days in a row, are you? I mean, she can force herself on him as much as she wants. Are you trying to pick a fight with me? Not at all. What kind of violent brute would go around picking fights just because they didn't like what someone said? There's a person that could hardly be considered a proper woman, don't you agree? Hey, you salami. Seeing Chris clench fists, shaking by her side, I decided to step in. Now, let's not say anything we might regret. Sophie, you were about to say something about Sunday. Yes, that's right. I recall some vague plans you mentioned having on Saturday with some random person. Then I realized that you might be free Sunday. So I was thinking, if you're not busy, perhaps you would accompany me for a while. As a friend, of course. I know that you and Chris are dating, and I wouldn't want to make things awkward between you. But even normal friends hang out together, don't they? Well, you're right about that. I don't have any plans Sunday, and if it's just friends, then... Kai, may I speak to you in private for a minute? Before I could give my answer, Chris interrupted me. But I'm in the middle of... Ow. Dragging me by the ear, Chris let me out of the classroom. What do you think you're doing? That should be my line. Oh no, it did it again! Elgato! Quickly now. There we go. We've only been a couple for a day and you're already making plans for other girls. Only to hang out together. Two friends can spend time together without it being nervous. Not when one of those two is her. God, please, just think about this from my perspective for a moment. Yeah, you've gotta. Like, I don't like. She's still a love rival. You're dating, but she's still like a rival, right? Come on, you can't go at it. If Chris was there, that'd be different. Then you'd be friends. But like, none of this situation is like good. Tomorrow's supposed to be our first date. How do you think it'll feel to hear you're already making plans with a girl you've been lusting after for months? Even if you don't have any ulterior motives, it still makes me feel a bit jealous. Jealous? Yeah, you heard me. I'm jealous, okay? I've been listening to you talk about girls you had crushes on for years, and even now, when we're finally going out, one of them is still in your mind? Why can't you think about me as much as you think about them? Is it too much to ask you to treat me that way? I'm your girlfriend now, right? So you should only be paying attention to me. Forget about Sophie. Forget about all those other girls. You're only the only boy I ever think about, Kai. Is it wrong for me to want to be the only girl you ever think about? I felt a sharp pain pierce my chest as Chris pleaded with me. Even if I didn't agree with her on every point, it was clear that the thought of me spending time with Sophie, even as a friend, was hurting Chris. Seeing Chris once again enduring unnecessary pain for my sake can only give in to her heartfelt plea. I'm sorry, Chris. You're right. You're absolutely right. Even if I'm new to this whole relationship thing, that's no excuse for me being tactless. The last thing I want to do is make you feel uneasy. If you don't want me to spend any more time with Sophie, just say the word and I'll turn her down without hesitation. Kai, you really mean that? Of course. I like Sophie and I want to be friends with her, but I have to choose between you two. Then it's no contest. If having her around makes you feel uneasy, consider her gone. Kai, when are you gonna tell her about the bully and almost rape? Or are we not gonna talk about that? You saw bits of her that no one should see. In truth, I didn't want to turn Sophie away. After what happened to her and what she confided in me, I felt obligated to help her and to befriend her in her time of need. On the other hand, Sophie had lied to me. She made me suspect Chris of something terrible, and there was a small part of me that I couldn't forgive her for that. Of course, above all else, if befriending Sophie was negatively impacting my relationship with Chris, then no matter what I felt for Sophie, I would have to turn her away. I appreciate you saying that. I know how long you've been waiting for an opportunity like this, and it means a lot to me that you turned her down 2 days in a row for my sake. So for that reason, I retract my earlier statement. You what? God, I'm sorry for asking something so unreasonable. You don't have to be that mindful of me. You can be friends with whoever you want. You sure? If you don't want me to spend time with Sophie, I'm fine with turning her down. I'd be lying if I said that wouldn't make me happy. But I don't want you to think that you can't have friends unless I approve of them. I just got a bit anxious when I heard Sophie trying to make plans with you. My insecurities got the best of me, and I said something I shouldn't have. So I'm happy that you go that far for my sake, but you should be friends with whomever you want. I don't want to become that kind of jealous, controlling woman who can't trust her boyfriend. With surprising consideration, polite words, Chris gave my relationship with Sophie her blessing. Baffled by her maturity, I stared at Chris vacantly for a moment, almost unable to believe that the one who said such a thing was really Chris. It would seem that despite being by her side for so many years, there were still things I don't know about Chris. Don't you dare do anything that you wouldn't do with a male friend, alright? If you two so much as hold hands, I'm gonna beat you both into the ground. That's the usual Chris. After a few more quiet words between the two of us, Chris and I returned to class. We walked up to our desk, at which point Sophie approached us once more. Sorry about the wait. We just need a brief intermission. Oh, no, not at all. So, did you come to a conclusion? Well, I don't need an immediate answer. I would prefer to know sooner rather than later. It's fine. I won't drag this out. Sorry, Sophie, but I'll have to refuse. Really? There's a spicy bug in my throat. Okay. Oh, I see. Hear my response, so I glanced towards Chris. Hey, don't look at me like that. This is Kai's decision, not mine. If you say so. With her clear disappointment and faint hint of hostility, Sophie turned away and returned to her desk. As she was about to take her seat, Sophie turned her head and glared at Chris once more, then sat down. Jeez, what's with that girl? It's bad enough that she'd invite someone else's boyfriend out. Isn't it too much? Do they get angry when she's turned down? And why is she getting angry at me? She's clearly the one with the wrong here. I don't know. Maybe Sophie just doesn't trust other girls. I wouldn't blame her given what happened. Oh shit! Ah, fuck, you idiot. You dumb idiot. What do you mean, Kai? Do you know something? No, I wouldn't say that I know something. It's just, look, she cut her hair really short, right? And the same day, almost all the girls in class were missing. Even now, most of them are suspended, and we don't know why. So I was thinking maybe she was the victim of bullying or something. Is that right? Chris stared at me skeptically. That's certainly a possibility. No, more than that, it's actually a pretty good theory. But if it's just a theory, then why'd you make it sound like you knew for a fact what happened? I faltered in the face of Chris's intense scrutiny. Although she was usually fairly carefree and easygoing, there were moments when I felt she could see right through me. But I don't think she can. Well, Kai, how can you be so certain? Do you see or hear something to make you think this way? I nervously glanced around the classroom. After passing straight over Sophie, my eyes landed on two of the remaining girls, both of whom had spoken to Sophie upon her return and appeared to know what had gone on. Without a moment's hesitation, I looked back and forth between those girls and Chris, then nodded my head in that direction. You heard from them? I nodded in confirmation. I overheard them before Sophie showed up yesterday. You remember how they were surprised to see her, right? The reaction wasn't just because of her new haircut. You don't say. Chris stared at the two girls. Bullying, huh? I don't buy it. Fuck. What do you mean? I'm telling you what I heard. I'm not saying that I don't believe you, Kai. What I find hard to believe is the notion of Sophie getting bullied by other people in our class. Oh, that is a bit hard to believe, considering what I expect from Sophie at the end of this storyline. Oh, yeah. I was surprised too. I didn't want to think that our classmates would do something like that. But from the look of it, no, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is, I don't think it was bullying. If those girls did something to Sophie, chances are it was how's that different than bullying? A retaliation? For what? What do you think she did? What else? You've heard the rumors, Kai. You know what they say about her. Actually, thinking about it now, maybe I shouldn't have said I was okay with you befriending her after a while. Although I was saddened that even Chris arbitrarily believed the worst about Sophie, I didn't hold it against her. I mean, look at the evidence. It's piling up, and not in a good way. For so many people to believe such a thing, there is bound to be some driven force behind the rumors. Not necessarily proof, but definitely something to fuel such malicious talk. Truth be told, after hearing it so many times and seeing the way Sophie tried to rile up Chris, not to mention accusing Chris of being involved in such a thing, I was beginning to believe it myself.